101.6 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis. It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Francis and Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brad Stack, Sportsworthy, and Brian Davis.
And a very pleasant Thursday afternoon, April 17th, 2025, to one and all. However you're listening, wherever you are listening, we welcome you in to Sports Time. We're with you until 5 o'clock today, out at 5 for Ole Miss, South Carolina pregame in Columbia, South Carolina. That starts at 5 o'clock, and first pitch at 5:30 between Ole Miss and South Carolina. No Bryant Dacus today. He'll be back with us tomorrow on Good Friday. To so many out there that I know will be worshiping and going to Maundy Thursday services tonight, be safe, and we sure have our kindest thoughts and sincere prayers for all in Tallahassee today at Florida State University for yet another act of evil down there. So keep them in mind tonight as you're going out to services and all weekend with Good Friday tomorrow and Easter Sunday coming up. I'm Brett Norsworthy alongside Landon Schmidt. Landon, how are you? Producing and co-hosting. How are you?
I'm doing very well today. Got the news earlier this morning that our shortstop for the Mets, Francisco Lindor, has declared he's going to be the team captain for Team Puerto Rico coming in the 2026 Baseball World Series.
I love that you started there. So Cardinals and Mets, 4 in Queens, starting tonight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. We still going to be friends Monday? Everything going to be okay?
I think
Promise?
so. I'm a fresh Met, so I don't think anything
that's
any of that's going to.
Landon, I cannot describe to you all old Cardinal fans and Mets fans, and there are a lot of Mets fans really everywhere. It really is. And I have said, non-patronizing through the years, one of my favorite hats is that blue Met hat with that orange NY.
Yeah.
It's one of the great lids in all the sport. But I cannot describe to you how hated, I mean, like some of these great college football rivalries between the Mets and the Cardinals in the 80s in the National League East.
Yep. I know my first day when I declared my love for the Mets and going through their history. Certainly, the trade of good old Keith Hernandez did not help at all. He started that huge rivalry.
He was my favorite Cardinal of all time until Albert Pujols. By lore, you all have to respect Stan Musial, and my parents like Mike Shannon and Lou Brock so much. Lou Brock, I got to see some of in the '70s, but way past his real peak abilities level, but. Everyday player, day in, day out, Keith Hernandez was my guy. And when they traded him June 15th, 1983, when they gave him away to the Mets for Neil Allen and Rick Ownby, I was so mad. And the Cardinals had just won it in 82 with him. There was a lot going on I didn't know about at the time.
Yeah.
And he was along with the free agent acquisition of Gary Carter, and they had Mookie Wilson. And then all those youngsters were coming on, like Dwight Gooden, like Darryl Strawberry, and several others that were good and key contributors. They made good moves, had a great skipper in Davey Johnson, and that set the rivalry off. There was a time the Mets were coming in for one of those big series in 86, 87, when it was like these college football rivalries.
Yeah.
It was people that just hated the sight of the other one. The Cardinals, gave them a devastating loss in that 87 season. But they came in a day early, it was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. They came in from wherever they had been out on the road on Thursday, and he goes to the ballpark. Well, Mike Shannon and Jack Buck have him in the broadcast booth with him. And you could hear the catcalling and the venom coming from a Cardinal fan, and they finally had to end the interview in the booth. He goes, well, they really love me here. And Mike Shannon said, yeah, they're going to miss you too. That's the end of the interview. But you could hear very faintly over the mic, and I mean somebody was giving him the business.
Wow. All right. So do you think that rivalry is still as strong today?
Oh, no, it's not close.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't think
enough.
so.
In fact, after this weekend, We play the 4 games in Queens at City this weekend, and then I think they come to St. Louis for 3 in May, and then we're done.
Yeah.
The rest of the year.
Yeah.
And used to you were running into them all the time, and you know, in the division, but before expansion, before interleague play, and all that. No, it's not close. In that time, that rivalry was bigger for the Cardinals than the Cubs were.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but you know, with the rarity amount of meetings, that's going to be plenty of time for you and I to still be friends, not have to cross paths, not have to, and not like it was going to affect that anyways.
Breaking news at this time from DeMichael Cole's Twitter, the very fine reporter for The Commercial Appeal. Ja Morant did not practice today. Game time decision per Tomas Isolo for tomorrow night. So the opponent is known, and now it is unknown whether the star will be on the court tomorrow night for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, last night or a couple of nights ago, after Ja had apparently sustained an ankle injury, and he made the comment to play out the game. He says, "I'm playing. There's nothing much more to it. I'm going to play." And that led to me to something I wanted to ask you. Is this kind of behavior that you're seeing changing in Ja? Because we know that Ja, he does not play a lot of basketball. He's missed almost as much as he's played. Do you think this is something where he didn't practice today, but he's still going to be on the court for tomorrow?
He's got to be in there tomorrow night.
Oh, I absolutely think so. But I'm thinking, like, earlier in the season, I don't think we would have seen this out of him. Would we have?
No, we wouldn't have, because there's a lot of that around the league. That's not just particular to him, but there's been too much. It's been too many missed games, and a lot of that is organizational mindset of protecting him, of just so much tread coming off the tires. What did it get him? What did it get all the team, all the maintenance, all the playing for the end of the year? What did it get the Grizzlies now tomorrow night in a must win to get to the playoffs? It's win or the season's over. Game 84 tomorrow night, or there will be no more games after tomorrow night. And now the opponent is set. We were really proud of ourselves. I don't know if we were real proud, but we were kind of proud of the group locks on Tuesday night. We all hit on Orlando. We all hit on Golden State last night. Up jumped the devil. We all missed on Chicago, and we all missed on Sacramento, and we missed badly on both.
Yeah, we did. Went 0 for 2 on both of those. Both group blocks going the wrong way. But with that, I remember watching the last time that the Heat and the Grizzlies played. Obviously, the Grizzlies came out on top, but one of the standout and star performers of that game was Tyler Hero. And it seems that each and every single year that he's been playing, he's just been progressing in his game. I look at his season averages and his season stats, and so I broke them down, and I wanted to ask you, Brett, of who do you think played better ball this year between Tyler Hero and Ja Morant?
Ooh, that's tough.
Because Tyler Hero, he was
good last night.
Here's his broken down stats. Tyler Hero played an average of 35.4 minutes a game, averaged 23.9 points, 47.2% on field goal shooting, 37.5% on three-point shooting, 5.2 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 0.9 steals. Where on the other hand, Ja Morant has played 30.4 minutes, 23.2 points per game, 45.4% on field goals, 30.9% on 3 points, 4.1 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and 1.2 on steals. And the big difference between the two is Tyler Hero has 20 more games than Ja Morant with 70.
That's it. That's it. And I talked about even after Jake LaRavia was traded, it took forever for Ja Morant. I think he finally got over games played by Jake LaRavia with the Grizzlies by one game.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of reasons. Some of it off the court last year and 2 years ago couldn't be helped. Some of it due to serious injury couldn't be helped. But all these maintenance games, when he and many of those others are all standing down there in that bench area, appearing to be fine to the ticket-buying public, they need to be out there playing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the league's got to do something about it. Memphis has to do something about it. Now, who would I rather have, Tyler Hero or Ja Morant, just in basketball terms? I want Ja Morant.
Right.
I want Ja Morant for on the floor in practical terms, but I also want him for he's going to mean a lot more to this franchise than Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
But you got to play, and it's too many nights that people go. I talked about the game. What game was it that I went to and I sat by people that had driven like from Asheville, North Carolina that day, one shot all year to see Ja Morant, and he was in civilians.
Yeah, I have a buddy of mine that we've gone to a few Grizzlies
That's not
games.
just the Grizzlies.
Yeah, it's not. But I have a buddy of mine that we've gone to a few Grizzlies games, and he told me, he's like, I've never been to a Grizzlies game where Jaw's playing. He's always out. He's always missing the game. I'm like, that's tough. That's tough, brother, because we pay our tickets, like you said, to go see Jaw perform. I mean, the dude is on the highlight reels everywhere. He's on the front page of ESPN and SportsCenter, all the things, all the likeness. So, like you said, he's got to be out there, especially tomorrow night.
Breaking news as we speak from the commercial appeal from Jason Munns on the Tigers basketball beat. PJ Haggerty has entered the NCAA transfer portal. I don't think it's freak out time. I've been braced for this. I think he has to do this. He has to go out and test the market. I think he's got to do that, and that's going to hit heavy to a lot of people. It's going to be freak out.
Yeah. Where do you think, just right off the bat, where do you think his ideal landing spots may be?
I think it still could be in Memphis. This doesn't mean he's gone.
Right, of course.
But it means he's listening, and he should.
Mm-hmm.
His talent, what he can sell is his abilities and his ability to play college basketball. And he almost was forced to do this. I don't think it's worthy of freaking out.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And
now,
especially
the day the news breaks that he is signed with X team and it's not the Tigers, then you got a different freak out story.
Yeah, maybe some cause for concern. But I know earlier today that we got news that Zachary Davis from South Carolina, the 6'7" guard, has joined our team.
I think a nice addition.
I think so too. Averaged about 8 points a game, 4 rebounds, 26 minutes. A good big guy for an addition for this Memphis team. And Julius Thedford from Western Kentucky, 6'4", averaged about 12.4 points a game last season. Still pretty young as well. I think both of those are great additions to the team.
Now, for P.J. Haggerty, it's going to be, just what can the Tigers afford to do? You can't empty the whole NIL bucket with him.
Right.
But he is a big piece of any type of success for next year. I don't know that much about Zach Davis from South Carolina. Know of him, but don't know that much about him. Mm-hmm. But I do know this about every player that everybody gets, whether it's college football or college basketball, in the portal. The day before you get them, in this case, let's just use Zach Davis. Yesterday at this time, nobody, not a single person in Tiger basketball land was giving 1 second of thought to Zach Davis, basketball player at South Carolina. Today, you've got people trying to make him into a combination of Kyrie Irving and Julius Irving.
Yeah.
And everybody does it, football and basketball. Mm-hmm. Ole Miss got a defensive back from Clemson that he didn't even play last year. He redshirted last year, and everybody knows one of the weaker spots going into next year for Ole Miss is the secondary. And I have buddies of mine text me yesterday, we got Clemson defensive back, and I texted them back. I said, he didn't even play last year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot didn't know that. So we all have that kind of new present on Christmas Day feeling about any player that comes in. And on the other side of that, anybody going out, well, that's okay. Now, P.J. Haggerty sure wouldn't be this case.
Right.
But the immediate want to kind of denigrate them on the way out. Coming in, all combinations of Kyrie Irving and Julius Irving. Mm-hmm. All going out, all a combination of Hasheem the Beat and some other bad player.
Yeah. You definitely want to hype it up to make you feel a lot better about the decision that you made. You want to make sure that it's almost like you want to justify the decision to bring in a character like this. And this is something that I want to ask Greg Gaston when we have him on here in just a little bit. Is you're looking at the state of the Tiger basketball team right now. Is there any huge gaping holes that the Tigers have that need to be addressed?
Tons.
Yeah. What are those?
Well, like the whole team is going to be out. But that's everybody now. We are in effect, and I do not mean this in the some people could take this in the more negative connotation, and I do not mean it that way. It's for everybody. It's not just Penny. It's not just Memphis. It's for every. John Calipari had to do it a year ago at Arkansas. He, in effect, is doing the same thing. We're putting together a pickup basketball team. Mm-hmm. We're putting together an AAU team, a little bit from over here. You're not playing the neighborhood youngsters. You're going out and you're trying to find pieces to work into a travel basketball team. Mm-hmm. Now, this travel basketball team, it has on its name the Tennessee Vols and the Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks and the national champion Florida Gators. They're putting together a pickup team.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you have to.
Yeah, and the same question. I remember we had a texter yesterday talking about who on this Memphis Grizzlies basketball team is one that is just irreplaceable, that you can't get rid of right now, because they were suggesting that we need to just blow this thing up because something's not working, something's not right going on with this team.
Well, I'm of that sentiment too, but that's more of a next week thing for me. I want to get through. Now we know the opponent, and I want to get through the game tomorrow night before we really start talking a lot about next year. But we're going to have all summer to do it, and we will do it all summer. Yes. We're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's pool time, and we're already booking pool installations for 2025. Call Billy, call Lindsay, and they can get it taken care of for you right now. Buy now and get on the list for your pool installation. 24-foot pool starting at $19.99. Install liner starting at $2.99. All pool accessories up to 20% off. 5 to 6 person hot tubs starting at $69.99. Swim spas and cold plunge tubs $2,000 off. Patio furniture up to 50% off. Select sets. Mention this ad and get free installation. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. He's Landon. I'm Brett. We're Sports Time. We're with you until 5. As I said, we're going to get to our top and not top story in just a bit. But also another big breaking news story of the day. No real shocker. I do like how they're going to do it one more time for Lee Corso as part of the game day crew. He would do it opening day, site yet to be determined. He would do that show on August 30th, and then that will be a career for him. And it's been such an enjoyable ride for all of us in college football. But I think, and he thinks, it's time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the amount of memories and everything that pours in when you think of Lee Corso and College Game Day, starting all the way back in 1996 when he first put on that Brutus headgear, and going from there with all the different headgears, leading fans away. He started off on kind of a little bit of a cold streak in picks, where I believe it was Georgia that they had a sign that said, "Please don't pick us, Lee. Like we like Georgia.
Like
we
the
want
Sports Illustrated curse.
Yeah, we want them to win." But I think actually, how did he finish? He finished 287 and 144.
Got one left.
Yeah, got one left.
Going for 288.
To go. Absolutely, but still, 66.59% correct picks.
That's straight up, no spread. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
we were
fantastic.
Picking up straight up, no spread last night and went 0-2.
Yeah, but, he just – I loved watching him. I was watching his highlights all day, but the memories, and he's definitely going to be missed. And also just a quick shout-out to Kirk Herbstreit. I know that each time that Lee Corso donned whatever headgear it was, you absolutely saw it. The chemistry those two guys had. And
Kirk Herbstreit's wife kind of started. Mm-hmm. She was a cheerleader at Ohio State. Former cheerleader, knew all of them, and she suggested the Brutus headgear that got it started, that made everybody in the college football world, we all collectively smiled at 10:59 Central Time when he would do that every week.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What a way to start a college football day.
I agree.
You left ready to get going with your day. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
All right, Landon, you first.
Got to unmute my mic to do
that.
There you go. My top story, I'm a big football guy, and next Thursday marks the start of the NFL draft. I'm super excited for it, especially after that recent little Fortnite clip or whatever of Cam Ward came out, and they asked him the questions of who's your top 4 running backs in the league, and he said Tony Pollard,
he was playing to the home team.
Tajay Spears. Like, tell me you're playing for the Titans without telling me you're playing for the Titans. So that kind of won me over. I love little stuff like that. I'm excited for him, but it got me thinking because I've been producing Happy Hour with Johnny Radio all week, so I've been able to hear his thoughts and see what's going on in that world. And he brought up a good point about the number 1 drafted QB picks in recent history. And it got me thinking and going down the line of, you think back to all of these QBs who were drafted. In 2005, you had Alex Smith going first round. I mean, pretty good career, but no Super Bowl wins, nothing huge there. 2007, probably the biggest bust in draft history with Jamarcus Russell, the man who is supposed to be the new Vince Young, or the new Michael Vick, the guy who's supposed to do it all, straight out of LSU, huge bust. 2009, you had Matthew Stafford with the Lions, didn't change much, had to leave the Lions to go to the Rams to finally get himself a championship ring. In 2010, Sam Bradford being drafted by the Rams, who had some shining moments but then quickly faded away. Then after him, the next year, Cam Newton, who honestly did really good job with the Carolina Panthers, taking them from
good Super Bowl, MVP,
great Super Bowl appearance,
2015 season.
Absolutely. And then 2012 with Andrew Luck, who many would argue that he retired a little bit too early, but I think he made the right decision. He came and did what he wanted to do and left within a timely manner. 2015, Jameis Winston being drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which my favorite thing about Jameis Winston that stood true to this day is the fact that his first ever NFL pass was an interception returned by the Tennessee Titans in his first game, which, go Titans, and it just fits the mold of exactly what you expect out of Jameis Winston as a QB. 2016, Jared Goff with the Rams. He found some success. I think people forget that he did lead the Rams to a Super Bowl.
Only scored 3 points.
Only scored 3 points, and honestly, it was rather maybe one of the most boring ones to watch if you're a newcomer to the sport, or you're just watching the Super Bowl. You expect to see a lot of scores. You expect to see a lot of points, so many people maybe want to overlook that. In 2018, Baker Mayfield going to the Browns didn't excel, but now he's found his way and found his home in Tampa Bay, doing things there. 2019, Kyler Murray hasn't had a real standout year or season or career with the Cardinals, but still looking to find his footing. He's still got a long way to go. 2020, I would say, in this list that I'm doing, only dating back to 2005, because there's been a lot of other first-round picks that have been very successful, like Peyton Manning, like Eli Manning himself. But with Joe Burrow going to the Bengals, I think he's been doing a phenomenal job there. Then following him, Trevor Lawrence, then Bryce Young to the Panthers, and then just last year with Caleb Williams. A lot of stuff still left to prove, but it kind of puts Cam Ward in this class of, is he in a good company, or is he kind of have a lot of odds stacked up against him? Which, if you've looked at Cam Ward's career, he's had the odds stacked up against him, and he seemed to overcome them every single time, going from Incarnate Word, going to Washington State, killing it there, and then going to Miami and proving himself as a really good QB. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Titans. I think the stage is set, and it's just it's undoubtable that he's going to go to the Tennessee Titans.
Next Thursday night, that'll be the first thing, and give it some time with him. Don't expect him that first year to lead them to the playoffs. My top story, the opponent for the Grizzlies in the game for the 8th seed. It's known, the game that decides who will be the fodder for Oklahoma City in the first round of the playoffs. The prospects for either Dallas or Memphis, it feels pretty hopeless in that series against OKC, but it's better than not making the playoffs. That pick, if the Grizzlies get the draft pick instead of the playoffs, it's not going to mean Cooper Flagg. It might deliver something, can help in a few years. The time is now for the Grizzlies. No way can this fan base be sold the patient game. There's no way you could sell this fan base a 3-year plan.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story has to be what's been going on with NIL and this Nico Iamaleava situation, how it continues to unfold. And speaking of Lee Corso and Kirk Herbstreit this morning. Kirk Herbstreit was on the Pat McAfee show this morning, and he broke down basically the intention of the name, image, and likeness of players in college football. He said it's more of a marketing platform. It's not a pay-for-play thing. It's not something where this guy's available, so now let's go spend $10 million to get him to come over here and play for our team. It's not what it's about. He said if Nico could have created marketing opportunities based on NIL, his name, image, and likeness, then that's what it was that he should have been chasing. We need to be more responsible for this, not a pay-for-play, and we need to focus on growing these guys. See, now, college football has now become something of a semi-pro league where you're expected to pay all of these people. And we saw that this year with the NCAA tournament in basketball, where the powerhouse teams are now the ones with the stacked rosters. The thing of the upset and the March Madness of things occurring almost seems like a thing of the past. Now, it is still pretty early. There's still a lot of rules and regulations that need to be put in place to put parameters around this NIL things to kind of control it, and then switch the focus to more of a holistic development, more something where they're educating, leaning on personal growth, and then going through athletic achievement, putting the student back in student athlete.
Yeah, that all sounds like the original intent. Kirk Herbstreit's right about everything he said. We're so far from that.
We are,
and
so far.
And we're not going back because the courts aren't with going back.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going back, even with the House settlement that's coming up. My not top story: 1 week until the NFL draft that Landon talked about. We know now that Cam Ward will be the number one pick. Giants, Steelers, Browns, Jets, Rams, all have been in the first round pick of a quarterback, maybe being interested in one. This time next year, if he has the big year that most expect he will have, you know, all eyes are going to be on the quarterback in the first pick this time next year. Arch Manning. He doesn't have to turn pro not only after next year, he doesn't even have to the next or until the next. He can wait 2 more full years.
And probably make more money doing so.
Money's not going down, is it?
Nope, not at all.
That's our top and not top story for the day. When we come back a little earlier to have Greg Gaston than we normally have Greg, he will join us when we come back to talk Tigers. A lot of Tiger news, particularly with P.J. Haggerty. Greg Gaston up next with us on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Go where you can buy with confidence, because at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike, no current inventory is affected by new tariffs. So come find your new ride at Gossett Mitsubishi, like 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV plug-in hybrid with a combined range of 420 miles. We Gossett at only $349 per month. Or take your pick from new 2025 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross or new 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Your choice, we Gossett. Only $399 a month. That's a brand spanking new Eclipse Cross or Outlander Sport, $399 a month. Plus, peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So forget the tariffs and remember to get to Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or online anytime at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
SCO 11871, MSRP 46,000, Cross SC 007521, MSRP 29545, Sport SU 002440, MSRP 286, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Corky's Barbecue. Cooking it up.
Down home way, hickory smoke flavor like the good old days.
Hey y'all, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. With over 175,000 cars served in our drive-thru, 4,000 online pickup orders, and 1,500 party packs delivered to offices and events every year, Corky's is a trusted go-to barbecue
Stadium on Sunday, May 11th, as they face the St. Louis Battlehawks with kickoff scheduled for 2 p.m. Come see all the football action of the UFL and join us as we celebrate our mascot Skipper's birthday. Treat Mom to a Mother's Day she'll never forget with more fun, more excitement, and more Showboats football. Get your tickets today at UFLShowboats.com. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
Sunrise locations. All financing on approved credit.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family. This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Wrapping up this wreck on 55 northbound. One white vehicle here is turned around the wrong way. TDOT's trying to fix this situation. Still some rubbernecking over here on 55 at 240. It's slowing down that traffic on 240 at times coming past Mill Branch. Hey, dandelions, crabgrass, you want to get rid of all this? Call Lawn Solutions right now here in the Memphis area. They're the best and they're affordable. Lawn Solutions, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us now to talk Tigers, and on a day that Bryant Dacus is out, Greg, I first want to refute that Bryant has entered the portal. He is not. He's just taking a day off. But Greg Gaston joins us now, and it has hit like a freight train late this afternoon. I thought we might talk about Zach Davis from South Carolina, but Greg, we're going to talk about P.J. Haggerty and now Dane Danger both entering the portal, and P.J. Haggerty with the do not contact label on his, it now indicates that he may indeed be gone from Tigerland.
Yeah, good afternoon, Brett. Timing is everything, because this is something that I had heard from my sources that was going to go down today, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to beat the clock and talk about it. But since it did break here in the last 20 or 30 minutes, I can. And, this was a bit of a surprise to a certain extent, because Penny Hardaway and his staff really felt good about their chances to keep P.J. Haggerty. They were able to put a little bit more money in there for whatever his demands were, but you only can go so high. And when you have some big boys that come in swinging for the fences, it's awfully tough in this day and age. And so, I've heard about maybe Dad steering the ship here on this one, but PJ is going to be a huge loss for Memphis. There is no question about it. You're losing most of your offensive production, and then the rest of it came from the guy that you also brought up in Dane Danger, who, again, we know has to still get a waiver from the NCAA to be eligible. So not sure if that will happen, but they feel like there's a better chance that it may happen for him, because the NCAA has given more waivers here recently, although not in that particular realm of what Danger's asking for. But let's just assume for a second that he is given the waiver. He surprised, I think, the University of Memphis. He surprised a lot of people. He surprised me, because I think Danger's asking price, which would have gone up as well, was within reason, let's just say, for Memphis. And now he's looking at the possibility of getting a lot more money than that. That's just what we're looking at right now, these astronomical asks, because the supply and demand favors these players. And that is basically the entire team lost. But these two guys specifically, the bulk of the reason why they got to the NCAA tournament. This is indeed a really, really rough day for Memphis basketball.
So, Greg, I started with it's not the end of the world that he could just be kicking tires. Let me amend that. With your reporting and with your contacts and your feelings about this, he's gone. It's the end of him being a Memphis Tiger.
Yeah, look, I guess anything's possible, but what I'm hearing is that he's now again the Dane Danger stuff is that is news to me. But that sounds like he's off and rolling to somewhere else again if he gets the waiver
wherever.
But I don't think so either. But Haggerty, yeah, I mean, again, I think he's done. I think that's it.
Out of here. Okay. What was the price tag that you can report?
I don't know what the price tag was, but I think it might be north of $3 million.
What school?
Let's just say that there's an SEC school involved,
in the area?
There is a big no, and there's a Big 12 school also involved, and there may be a few others that I don't know about.
For extraordinary amounts of money.
That's what I believe is correct. Again, when you have, whether it be your age, and then let me also bring up with Dane Danger, he had just changed agents, and that may have played into this as well, because I know that his mom really wanted him to return to Memphis. So you have a lot of people, and this has always been the case, hasn't it, Brett? You've always had a lot of people in athletes' ears, whether it's family members, whether it's friends, whether it's in this case now that you have agents, whether it's attorneys. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot, coaches, high school coaches. I mean, there's a lot of people. And making their own decision, I don't think it's ever happened. I mean, there's individuals that probably made their own decision, but for the most part, it doesn't usually happen when you're talking about big money when it was below board in a shoebox, or whether it was above board like we have right now. You got agents involved. They're going to put you out there to the best offer, and then the family will certainly give their 2 cents about everything that's going on. I mean, we know what's going on here with Nico and how that ship's being steered with his father from everything we report. Well, certainly
the dads get a lot of blame. At some point, can't the player go, look, Dad, I'm really happy here, and $2 million's a lot of money.
Yeah, I guess they can talk up for themselves. You would think so, but I don't know if it's necessarily the blame on Dad. How about if Dad lands him, helps lands him $3 million or $3.5 million? So if you're looking at it from just a money standpoint, exactly. So Dad's doing things, or mom, or whoever, anybody in the inner circle is trying to do things in the best interest of those athletes. But yes, it doesn't seem like the athletes necessarily have the decision all to themselves. Maybe in rare occasions now, but now it just seems like more people, again, trying to do the best for those athletes, are involved in the decision making.
What is best you can determine was the Tigers' best offer to him? Have you heard a monetary amount?
No, I didn't get a number, but it was a nice increase from, well, last year, again, the guesstimate was around 700, 750. I mean, that's what I've heard, but I don't know how accurate it is. And while Memphis has had a little bit more money put into the coffers to use, it's not a substantial amount used. So my guess would be in the $1.5 million range, maybe as high as $2 million. I've heard some other things, which I think is ludicrous, because I know Memphis pretty much had, I think, about $4.5 million last year to work with, I think, total. So I don't know how much of an increase. I think there is an increase, but it's tough when you have these other schools that can spend a lot more than that. Until there's a cap, until we have some restrictions and boundaries, this will continue.
Great. All three of those words: cap, restrictions, and boundaries. I'm with you on guardrails. It'll never happen because Tom Mars will wear the NCAA, and anybody putting in caps, boundaries, restrictions, guardrails, he'll wear them out in court.
He will. He's pretty successful. The other thing is, these aren't employees, so you don't got that going right now, and they don't have a union. Who knows one day if they'll be employees and have a union, and then you're really talking about restrictions and things of that nature.
And then the university's whole tax status will be up for grabs then.
Yes, that's a whole mess, but that's a whole other story. As far as like guys like Tom Mars, yeah, they're waiting to feast on this. This is all about giving the the student athlete now a opportunity to cash in no matter what without restrictions. One of those deals where it's best offer doesn't necessarily always mean you're going to get that player, but more than likely you're right there battling for that player. And then, of course, it ends up being a buyer beware situation because there's no restrictions. The Tyreek Smith situation that Memphis got into last year, getting a player, bringing him in, starting to have to pay him in the summer, and then early fall, and then the player ends up not playing a game for you. So you have that going on as well. It's an absolute mess. I mean, could you imagine if, in like 2015, okay, you and I, UFO came in, they took us away, we went to another galaxy for about 10 years, they dropped us back off in 2025. Yeah. I'm like, what do you mean athletes are being paid above?
Is Gail King and Katie Perry going to be in the capsule with us? Or Katie Brett, Senator Katie Brett, she's going to be in there.
Well, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It would brighten up things a little bit for us. But no, I mean, you come back. It's not been that long, and change. There's always going to be change in this world.
2015, during COVID, we couldn't imagine this.
Exactly. I just threw that date out, but you're right. It hasn't been that long since the whole world of collegiate sports has been turned upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg, this is Landon over here. And
hey, Landon.
Hey, how's it going? So, we're talking a lot about basketball and how, NIL hasn't just affected that, but it's also affected the football realm. I mean, the things going on with the transfer portal, everybody wants to seem to leave the schools that they're at to go chase new opportunities and new money. But there seems to be a lot of news stories coming out about the Tiger football season upcoming, with the spring game coming up in a couple of weeks on April 26th. And I know there's been a lot of buzz going on about Memphis's QB room. I mean, we got Brendan Lewis, the transfer from Nevada. We have Arrington Maiden, who is described as this 6'4" beast with arm strength that has not been seen in a long time at Memphis. And then Antoine Hill Jr., the 4-star recruit that chose Memphis over Florida. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what have you heard from the buzz from the QB room? It seems like Brendan Lewis is the clear choice. I mean, he has the seniority, he has the field experience, and he already has what seems to be that standing leadership already in the Memphis locker room right now. But I'm curious to see what you've heard, what the direction looks like, and going forward, since Brendan Lewis is a senior, what the future of Memphis quarterbacking looks like.
Yeah, I've been over to a few practices, been able to watch these guys, and I think you hit it on the head in your description of what the quarterback room looks like. Remember, speaking of the portal, Harris Boyd was another guy who was a returning quarterback who decided to jump in the portal because he saw the writing on the wall. And that's going to happen throughout the country, not just at the quarterback position, but at all positions. When you got battles going on and you're not going to win the battle, you're not going to have a chance to start or even be a backup, you're going to look to move on. Others are going to look to move on because they are contacted through their agent or whoever their representative is, and they know that a school needs a particular position, a la Xavier Hill ends up going to the University of Colorado because Coach Prime needed an offensive lineman. So they went out and they got this guy who was a first-team all-conference player. But to your point, as far as the quarterback room is concerned, yeah, and Tim Cramsey, the offensive coordinator, has said that, in not these particular words, but it's basically his job to lose. He's a veteran player, and you can't teach experience. And he has that experience having played at Nevada, having played actually at Colorado as well, but he brings a wrath of experience in here, or a wealth of experience, excuse me, and he comes in with the number one moniker. Now, he's got to go out there and prove it. I haven't heard anything that would make me feel any different right now from spring, but it's got to continue into fall. I don't know if Ryan Silverfield will announce a starter out of spring. He probably won't. The battle will probably go into August, but I fully expect Lewis to be the starter. Now, it's interesting with the backup because Antoine Hill is the highly recruited quarterback they got, and Maiden has been here in the system for a year. So it wouldn't be shocking if Maiden ends up being the quarterback for number two for this year. But I don't think it's going to affect Antoine Hill. I think Antoine Hill feels that he is the future for Memphis. I think a lot of people feel that way as well. He has a lot of gifts. He's a strong pocket passer. but the offense is going to be catered around Lewis. And now you're talking about a multidimensional quarterback. So the offense is going to look a little bit different than it did last year with Seth Hennigan. Seth is not necessarily a donkey out there, but he had not a lot of design plays for him. He would have a couple quarterback draws, and he would run when the pocket would collapse, but he was not known as this multidimensional quarterback. Lewis is. So you're going to have a lot of plays designed for him. Antoine Hill is not that kind of quarterback. He is an old-fashioned pocket passer who will pick you apart. Maiden can run a little bit, but Maiden also, as you said, has a strong arm, and so he's more of a pocket guy as well. So it'll be interesting to see, because I think what they're doing is adding all these different wrinkles for an RPO that they'll use a lot this year. Not that they haven't used in the past, but a lot more running possibilities from the quarterback position.
Greg, thank you for your time today, and I got a feeling tomorrow morning by 7:02, you and Eli Savoy will be talking about the P.J. Haggerty story, and both of y'all working sources and getting information. We'll have more on this developing story. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much.
Greg Gaston with us every Thursday, usually at 5, but we're out, and he's got baseball as well today, so we visited with him a little bit earlier. Steve Macy, our friend from the Showboats, we'll catch back up with him next week. Okay, so maybe it's time to panic.
Yeah.
I was trying to be the voice of reason.
Yeah, and I liked your take on there. I liked keeping it calm until something was set in stone, but Greg...
Stone's moving.
It is. Greg came out swinging and basically made it clear, he's gone, so...
Pure speculation. On the night the Tigers were eliminated, that Friday night, by bedtime, I had somebody tell me $2.1 million to Texas that would be offered to P.J. Haggerty. Wow. So we'll see if that plays out.
I guess we will.
It's a lot of money, and that's the SEC school. And Greg, I didn't want to press him about who. He just said it was SEC, but not area.
Yeah.
So that rules out, I would assume, Arkansas and Tennessee and Ole Miss here in the area. Greg Gaston was on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies. That great location at 4542 Poplar. Bill Jones and his great team here to stay. Some blow in and out overnight. Not Sissy's Log Cabin. They're a fabric of the community, supporting Tigers athletics and being the official jeweler of the Grizzlies. And at FedEx Forum with the Floor Seat Lounge, the Mid-South's largest selection of one-of-a-kind jewelry, engagement rings, wedding bands, necklaces, earrings, 9,000 square foot at Poplar and Perkins in Laurelwood with expanded lines for Rolex, Cartier, diamonds, and more since 1970. With all the great locations across the Mid-South, Sissy's, they offer a selection of diamonds, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. Unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary shopping experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry. When we come back, we wrap up hour one. We do it talking the NBA. You're listening to Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and pulled shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily from the our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4040 Park Plus. You're there. Get the best of Memphis. Anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure.
and it's the perfect time to give your home a little love with Choate's $93 spring deals. Got a slow or smelly drain? We'll clear it for just $93, or it's free if we can't. Also, your home's electrical system is working 24/7 behind the walls, and an inspection from Choate's can help catch hidden dangers before they become big problems. We're talking about outdated or overloaded panels, loose wiring that can spark fires, improper grounding or GFCI protection, breaker issues, flickering lights, and more. Our licensed electricians will perform a full home safety check, identify risks, and give you a plan to keep your family safe and your power running strong. All for just $93. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com to book your appointment today. Choates Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. Let our family serve your family.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Brent Stacks, Sports Review, Brian Davis.
Landon, when we made picks yesterday, I never saw that Dallas effort after that really dismal performance on Sunday that I called gutless. Then they do that last night, and now we will see them up close tomorrow night with the status of Ja Morant, reported by DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal as game time decision tomorrow night. Right now, the Grizzlies a 6.5-point favorite. I guarantee that's factored in with Ja Morant in that lineup tomorrow night. 6.5-point favorite late against the Mavericks. In the other 8th seed game, it'll be the Miami Heat. They went all the way to the NBA Finals out of the play-in a few years ago. I don't think they'll do that this year. They play Atlanta tomorrow night with Miami. They don't play Atlanta tomorrow night, do they?
Yeah, I was looking at that
play Orlando.
too. Yeah, I saw that too. I think they made a mistake on the site.
Big mistake on the ESPN app. Hey, I make them.
Yeah,
I just made their mistake. They play Orlando tomorrow night.
Yeah, they do, because we all chose group locked on Orlando and cashed in big time with that one.
And we took a shot at Trae Young yesterday.
We did, yeah.
Okay, even the big boys make mistakes.
They do.
I need to follow up and really actually know who's playing before I repeat what's on the ESPN app.
It's look, from what we know, unless something changed where, I don't know, Orlando got disqualified for something.
It's so nebulous out there these days. It feels like something could happen like that, but it didn't. Orlando won that game. That's who's playing tomorrow
handily
night
as well.
And we know in downtown Memphis at FedEx Forum tomorrow night, it will be the Grizzlies and the Mavs in the play-in. Never faced each other in the play-in. Faced each other in the playoffs in a 4-0 sweep for the Mavericks way back when Dirk Nowitzki was the star of that Mav team. I hear people talk about maybe wanting to lose for draft purposes, and I roundly refuted that, I think, in my top story. The Grizzlies aren't getting Cooper Flagg if they're in that draft.
No, not a chance. And
they might get Boogie Flan.
Right, and I don't think you really want to hear from really any fan base. Like even when the Titans were on their lose streak, and I'm using the Titans because they have the number one pick, and they also have the number one pick in the NFL draft, and they earned that by being the worst team in the league. It's not something you want to hear as either a fan or player of that team is, let's just lose on purpose so that we can go ahead and go into the offseason and get a draft pick. I don't think that's anybody's intent.
You get it in college sports world, let's lose and fire the coach. No way. I never want to lose.
No, yeah, and I don't think that should be on, and I don't think that's on the forefront of any Grizzlies' mind. They want to go in, they want to win, they want to get a playoff berth. I mean, we talk with Dustin Starr, the man who hosts the Memphis Grizzlies games, and he got a question of, well, when it goes to playoff time, do you guys get like paid more or something like that? I said, no. We just get more games, and they're excited about that. They love the atmosphere. They love being around there. So I don't think it's anything where tanking or losing should be a priority. Especially to your point, it's not like we're going to grab Cooper Flagg from losing this Friday. No.
Not even close.
Not even close. So I think our main goal should be to go in, win, play our style of game. I read a stat.
And then let it rip against Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. Put up a great fight. I know a lot of people don't believe that we can win, especially
feels inevitable for either winner tomorrow night.
Absolutely. But that doesn't mean we still can't put up a good fight. And I think that's what we want to see. We want to return to that grit and and grind mentality
That's
that
what
we
sports
had.
is about, isn't it? It's
Absolutely,
about a fight.
absolutely. And people love to see a fight.
Competition,
People love to see the underdog try to put it up against the big dogs and come out on top.
I'm stealing this from Eli Savoy, and he prefaced it with this, and of course I do too, and he meant it, and I do too. We don't want this to happen. We don't want anything to happen. But what if SGA's ankle turned the wrong way and a whole different complexion of that series happened? We've seen it a million times in sports. You don't want that. I'd rather go out and just beat them straight up, fair and square, but we know crazy bounces can occur. Cooper Flagg's late season injury at Duke, I don't think that cost them in the end. That collapse cost them in the national semis, but we know injuries happen. Things happen. So get there, and if you're not there, it's not going to happen. If you don't make it to the playoffs, we know what's going to happen. You're going to be out of the playoffs and headed to the offseason, and we don't want that. We're out early today, so when we come back, we'll talk a lot more NBA as we always do at 4 o'clock on Thursday with Keith Smith. Then at 4:30, we'll do a combination of what's trending and big number of the day. And we wrap it up about 4:45, 4:50 with crunch time. We're out at 5 for Ole Miss and South Carolina baseball. 1 hour down. Coming up next on Sports Time, Keith Smith.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
It's the Freedom of Choice pricing program, Ram Truck Month and Jeep Celebration all in one at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram out on the pipe. 2025 Compass Latitude 4x4, $49.69 off MSRP and $24,796 with Jeep Select Terrain System. Go from snow, sand, and mud. 2024 Dodge Hornet RT all-wheel drive, $12,673 off or $397 a month with a turbocharged 2.0-liter engine standard. One of the most powerful SUVs in its class. Or 0% for 72 months is available. 2025 Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab with best-in-class payload capacity now $13,335 off MSRP. Or 1.9 for 72 is available. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
7704, MSRP 29765, Hornet R3 808 452, MSRP 44620, Ram SN 673 402, MSRP 517, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title license, see dealer for complete details, offer valid to end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Sunrise locations, all financing on approved credit.
Spring is really one of the best times of year for sports and visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis's perfect downtown neighborhood bar. The Bell Tavern is a sports bar, but with the beginning of baseball, the stretch run for the Grizzlies, and everything else that's going on, there is simply no better place to be than Bell Tavern. One thing people say all the time is that they have made more friends at Bell Tavern than they have at any other bar, and that's because Bell Tavern is a grown-up bar where people treat one another with respect, and that's how you make friends. You go to a friendly place and find out what you have in common, like, say, Bell Tavern.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company. This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still trying to clean up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. A couple of EMS calls in the last 15, 20 minutes. Trying to build through Midtown. A little bit more volume on 40 over here at Chelsea, 40 westbound. Seems like it's picked up also at Danny Thomas as you head across the I-40 bridge on over into West Memphis. Dandelions, crabgrass, you want to get rid of all this? Well, call Lawn Solutions right now here in the Memphis area. Lawn Solutions 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show. And on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now, and let me clarify, since I have thoroughly confused myself. It is Heat and Hawks tomorrow night. Orlando won. They're the 7 seed. I still don't have a great handle on the NBA play-in. And then the late game tomorrow night will be Dallas here in Memphis against the Grizzlies. And to talk about all that and to straighten me up on the playoffs, Keith, I don't have a great feeling or great handle on the play-in on when someone's eliminated, but it will be Heat Hawks early tomorrow night, Mavericks Grizzlies late. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we got the Heat and Hawks that are playing for the 8th seed, and then we got the Grizzlies and the Mavericks now battling it out for the 8th seed in the West.
Did that surprise you last night, both of those results, the no-show by both home teams, Chicago and Sacramento?
Yeah, it did a little bit, especially the fact that they were both blowout games. I thought, we'd be in for at least a couple close games, and we didn't even get those, and that's maybe a little telling about the seasons for those teams. I think Sacramento and Chicago had kind of rough years where they were expected to be at least in playoff contention and really slipped out. And, now for both those teams, a lot of questions to be answered going into the offseason about where do you go? If you're Sacramento, we thought a couple years ago this was an ascendant team that was on its way up, and now, here we are. They're not even going to be in the playoffs. And then you got the Bulls. Their fan base has been begging for a full-scale rebuild. Maybe that finally comes this offseason.
Keith, you have been with us so graciously through the years, a long time now, over many years, and one of the most indelible things you've said a lot of them, but one that really stands out is every fan base, every town thinks the window is always more open than it really is, and the shelf life on it has no expiration date. The window closes, and that X date hits pretty quickly. You mentioned Chicago. They want the full rebuild. There's no clamor for that here in Memphis, but the feeling of 2022 has really waned here in town.
Yeah, and in the terms of NBA terms, that's, like a lifetime ago. That feels like it was forever ago that the Grizzlies were this ascendant team that we're all super fired up about. I think I started talking to y'all shortly before the bubble, and I remember that bubble season when we came back. It was like, all right, they're all right. Look at the Grizzlies in the bubble, and it's they made it into the play-in tournament. They could be kind of fun, and then they had a couple years of them kind of really rising, but that is exactly it, Brett. That's how quick the window snaps shut. If you don't get it done, it flips very, very quickly in the NBA, and all of a sudden you're kind of sitting there saying, man, remember when we thought we had something here? And it just didn't come to fruition, and it feels like we might be on the tipping point of that with this current Memphis core.
Is the window closing, is that in the neighborhood of familiarity breeding contempt?
Yeah, probably a little bit there. I think there's definitely some of that where, it feels like, all right, once you kind of know it when you know it, right? You don't see it coming before, and that's often why some teams kind of get caught a little off guard and it's very hard to give up on something when it has been really good times. You don't want to kind of go the other direction and have a lot of people start questioning, like, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we not doing our thing here that we've always done? So that's the tough part of being an NBA general manager, is knowing when it is time to kind of maybe say goodbye to a certain era of a team.
And that general manager has to be on eggshells of, do I change and I say goodbye, or does ownership say goodbye to me?
Yeah, absolutely, because what ends up happening a lot of times in a rebuild is you're not going to be the one to see it through. It's pretty few and far between the guys who can build a team up, then get to a certain level, then tear the team down and do it all over again. There's only a handful of GMs who get to do that in the NBA, and the rest are, they're more likely, if they start the tear down process, the likelihood of them being there on the backside of it to pick it back up is pretty slim.
Well, Oklahoma City allowed that, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of what makes Sam Presti really special. People, I think, have forgotten a little bit. He started building that team up when they were still the Seattle Supersonics with KD and Russell Westbrook, and then shepherd them through the move to Oklahoma City, which that's, one of the things where it sounds like, all right, well, the team moves and everybody just goes, but that's hard on a franchise. You've got a bunch of guys who maybe signed with you as a free agent to play in Seattle, or they re-signed as a veteran player and all that. And Sam Presti shepherded him through that for some really great years. And then when he knew it was time, all right, Kevin Durant left, Russell Westbrook, James Harden had run their course with the team as well. He traded those guys out, and he was able to really say, all right, we're going to start commencing this teardown. They did it, and they did it fairly quickly. It only took them a couple years to kind of figure it out and run through a bunch of different guys. And, of course, it helps when you have 900 draft picks to make in a pretty short order. And they hit on a lot of those picks. And here we are now with, a team that is, one of the favorites to win the title.
Help play amateur psychologist a little bit for me here, please. Keith, how did I go from in the front office we trust and Zach Kleiman we trust to now I don't have very much trust? How did that happen?
Yeah, the team stopped winning as much. I think that's a big part of it. And you had the 1 year where everybody's like, all right, this was the train came off the tracks here. Everything went sideways on us, and we had 9 million injuries, and we can't, come back from that. And, everybody's kind of willing to forgive those. And then this year, things just got a little sideways. And I think part of what happens is things start to fail. It all goes back to that. Windows aren't open as long as we think. It starts to feel a little stale. And it's like, man, we've had this group together for a little while, even though, it's only been about 5-6 years that group's had together. That's a lifetime in the NBA. And now, all of a sudden, it's the front office. There's a series of transactions. I think where people are like, they draft all right. They do pretty good with picking guys who will develop, but we've never seen the Grizzlies make that big blockbuster trade, to kind of get the right guys in and around John Morant and Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane. Despite the fact that they've had at least a couple times when it felt like they had opportunities to do that, and I think that's where that starts to erode away at the trust. Then you fire a coach who had some level of success there. You have some stuff going on with some of the players. And now all of a sudden it all starts to feel a lot more tenuous. It
really does. Tomorrow night, Dallas and Memphis. Who will win? Who should win?
I think Memphis will win. I think the Mavericks kind of got their last statement win, if you will, in that playing game against the Kings. I just don't know how they're going to match there with Memphis. But if John Morant can't go, it gets a lot easier because Dallas right now, they don't have a lot in the backcourt. They're getting by with Najee Marshall kind of playing as the pseudo point guard, and they're playing these jumbo lineups, and out of necessity, Jason Kidd's kind of gotten weird. And if you don't have John Morant to kind of punish those guys, but saying, all right, I'm going to take you off the dribble, and I'm going to break you down, and whether that's getting the paint for myself or that's setting up my teammates or whatever, all of a sudden things start to balance out a little bit more. But I think even without him, I think the Grizzlies can combination of defense and offense should be able to get a win. But it's kind of you start sitting there, and if you be really, really honest about it, you're looking and saying like all this just to go kind of get your tail handed to you by the Thunder in the first round. There's some people like that. I'd rather have a lottery pick and take my chances that way. But neither one of the teams is thinking that way. They're going to be trying to win because they'll be trying to win and say, all right, let's get to work on how we beat the Thunder.
Keith Bryant's out today. Landon, jump in. You got a question for Keith?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Keith, really since the All-Star break, the Memphis Grizzlies have had a gaping problem, and that is their defense. They have no problem on offense scoring, but their biggest problem is that they allow their teams to outscore them. And last night, Anthony Davis, he said after the game that he was a bit surprised by the second quarter performance that the Dallas Mavericks had, scoring 44 points against Sacramento's 19, and said that if they have hopes to win this next game is that they got to go out and do what they did against Sacramento, which is go out, run the pace of their game very well and score. So I know the writing's on the wall of what exactly Memphis needs to do to put a stop to it, but how do you do that when you have a big guy like Anthony Davis down low? I know you can put Zach Edey on him, but what is it that Memphis needs to do to efficiently shut down the production that we saw from Dallas? And to your point, we know that you were saying understand that Dallas kind of had their last hurrah against Sacramento, but there's always a hope that they can come through, especially with an amazing shooter like Klay Thompson.
Yeah, what you need to do is you got to match their physicality. They kind of went in there and said, "All right, we're going to be the bully on the block here, and we're going to shove the Kings around, and we're going to get whatever we want, whether that is shots directly at the rim, in the paint, or if we're going to work it inside and then kick it back out for jumpers." And they just really took care of business. And if you're Memphis, I think you're kind of looking and saying, "Yeah, that's not going to work with us. We've got some guys that'll." We'll bully back a little bit, and that's what you've got to be prepared for. Right now, Dallas, again, out of necessity, they're starting a front court of Derek Lively, Anthony Davis, and P.J. Washington. That's basically three guys who've spent a lot of minutes playing the center position in their NBA careers. And P.J. Washington, if he's a small forward, I don't know what anybody else is in the league, but it's what they've got. It's kind of Jason Kidd making the best of it on a team that's pretty banged up. And what they're doing in those situations is they're able to kind of overpower teams. That's where, you're going to need Jaren Jackson Jr. to be big. He's going to have to get rebounds. I know, I sound like a broken record, and I sound like, 9 million other Grizzly fans that have said the same thing, but he's got to be better on the glass because this Dallas offense is pretty limited, but where they can do work is if they create second chances, and if they're able to get on the glass. And Memphis is going to need big games out of Jackson. They're going to need Edey. Probably going to need Santi Aldama, maybe even Jay Huff to play big there. They're going to have to get those stops and really take care of things in the paint.
Keith, I swear, I said play psychologist for me. I swear I don't think my mental health can take a game-winning three-pointer from Klay Thompson, now a Maverick, doing that again to the Grizzlies after Jaren didn't get to a rebound. They get it, and they throw it out to him, and he drains it at the buzzer.
Yeah, that might be about it for, I think, a whole lot of people, if that's the way this one wrapped up. Now, it's funny because I interact with them on social media. There's a subset of Grizzly fans that are like, "Hey, we should just lose and keep our draft pick and go that way." But that's not the way most people are thinking about it. They're thinking about let's get in there. But yeah, if it was another Klay Thompson dagger because you couldn't secure a rebound, that'd be a problem.
Keith Smith with us on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, talking all things NBA from Spot Track and from the front office show. The proverbial. What series do you like the most of these first round series?
I think Clippers Nuggets is going to be so fun.
I love
it.
And
it kind of feels like we're hitting a turning point with those two franchises. Obviously, Denver, they got rid of their coach. Also, front office is in transition here. It feels like we might see some roster changes if they don't make a major run. And I think we're in the same boat with the Clippers where it is, all right, here we are again. And, hand up. I'm like Charlie Brown with the football. I'm like, hey, the Clippers maybe, and I've been kind of there for about, feels like a, half decade running now. And, and each time they pull that football away from me, I end up on my back wondering what happened. So now we're just in a spot where let's see. But I think that's going to be a really, really fun series.
This is really tough for someone that appreciates it, knows it, and loves the sport of basketball, and the NBA particularly, as much as you do. But I contend Saturday and Sunday are two of the best NBA days that we have, maybe better than Christmas Day.
Oh, 100%. I think it blows away Christmas Day. Don't get me wrong, Christmas Day is great. It's become a trend, a major tradition, for me. But it is. I mean, I love these 2 days because you get a chance to really see, and you're dialed in on one game at a time. You get to really lock in, see what it's like, and the level of play
11 hours
goes up. Exactly. We got 10 hours of hoop coming this Sunday, and it is this Saturday and Sunday, and it is it's great. I mean, I love it. I've already planned my day out both days and what it's going to look like, and make sure we're ready to go. But
where are you going to eat, Keith? Where you working in eat time?
We'll work in a quick dinner in between somewhere. I think Sunday's got about an hour break.
It does
between the first two games and the second game, so that'll be when we'll be eating some dinner. But this will be dinner on the fly time here. It might be a a sandwich or something real quick, we can get down and get back to watching hoop.
I do enjoy the Christmas games, but in all candor, it's really background noise because you got other things going on and people in and out, and you might be going other places, and you actually try to at some point observe Christmas, and I know Sunday with Easter people as well doing that, but Saturday it will be tough to carve out. Okay, I got to go get something to eat or get something brought in.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, kind of go that way. And what's always funny is, I always think with Christmas, too, this is when, you've got, maybe the family members coming around and don't watch the games, and they're like, oh, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Who's that guy? And this, with the playoffs, this is, for me, it's, I'm going to lock myself in the home bunker here, and, I'll see you in 10 hours, when it's done, and then we're going to get up and do it all over again on Sunday. It's, these are two of my, not just basketball, not just NBA, but two of my favorite days on the sports calendar. And then the nice thing is, if things are going kind of well, we get to do it all over again the next weekend. If we're in a spot where it's, we're sitting on a few 4-0 sweeps, which that always kind of works its way in. But yeah, these are two fantastic weekends of basketball.
All four of those games Saturday, those series, Bucks at Pacers, Clippers at Nuggets, Pistons at Knicks, Timberwolves at Lakers. I think the favorite will win all those, but they all have the long haul feeling to them.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think what we're going to see in a lot of these playoff series, I think the one seeds in each side will take care of business relatively quickly. I also think the Celtics will do that also, but then I think every other series has the chance to be pretty long, and I think maybe Pistons Knicks, we'll see. Sometimes they get there. I don't think Detroit is just happy to be there. I think they're very, let's go, let's get after this. But we do get those sometimes where those teams are like, hey, we're kind of playing with house money here a little bit in our growth, along our path. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch, some of these games. And I'm with you. I think I picked, the higher seeded team in all those, but they could go. And how about the Bucks getting the news today that Damian Lillard's ready to start ramping back up? And, we don't have a sense of how long that ramp-up time's going to take, but my guess is we may see him in this series, and that could swing things a major way for Milwaukee.
Keith, and it was just pure ignorance on my point. I didn't realize just how dangerous that deep vein thrombosis and that injury, that malady can be. I heard that even like cutting yourself shaving could end up being a clotting issue.
Yeah, so there's as far as I understand it, and some of this is in my own personal life as well as in some stuff with some of this, it's when they get on the blood thinners, that's where it can be really dangerous too, because you have to be very careful. That's why they always say they limit any kind of contact sports, because anything happens and if the blood can't clot, you're going to be in trouble. And the idea is you're trying to get rid of a clot or a clotting issue, so you're doing all this, and then it takes a little while to, all right, that's run its course. We feel good about where things are, and then of course, when you're at the height of your sport and you're these professional athletes, it's going to take you a little while to ramp back up. I mean, he's been shut down now for a month or so, and we're at a point where it's like, all right, now we got to ramp back up, get in shape to play again, get in shape to be there, and they're he's too important to them. They're certainly not going to bring him back before he's fully ready to go, but I do think at this point now, with all the news that's come out, I would expect we're going to see him play at some point in that series.
And this is what really impacted Chris Bosh's career, isn't it?
Yeah, it's slightly different when you get into the details, because his was up in his shoulder, chest area, which is from everything I've read, not that Damian Lillard's wasn't dangerous, but Chris Bosh's was dangerous, and then they couldn't get it under control with Chris Bosh, and that was the issue. That's why this ended. Brandon Ingram went through something similar. Now, he had it also up in the shoulder area, but they were able to get it under control for him. And, obviously he's returned to play, and that's the hope with Damian Lillard. That's also the hope, very much so with Victor Wembanyama, who, again, also up in the shoulder area. And then there's a thought process out there as I've been doing research, reading on this, is, professional basketball players, they tend to be extremely tall. And this is one of the things they're trying to look for a link of, is this something that impacts, very tall people who play contact sports are extremely active, more so than others. And then on top of that, one thing that they say can aggravate it is if you're doing a lot of flying and a lot of travel that way. And, of course, NBA athletes are on a plane just about every other day somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, not to take away from any of that, but to kind of bring it back around to the Grizzlies and their huge matchup against the Mavericks tomorrow night. I absolutely loved your answer about how the Grizzlies absolutely need to match with physicality with the Dallas Mavericks when they're coming out and playing a real physical game, kind of going back to really what started this huge run with the Grizzlies is this grit and grind mentality. How big of a performance do we need from Ja tomorrow? Is it the performance of a lifetime that we need out of him to pull this out, or how much of this game is leaning on what Ja does?
Yeah, I mean, first, right, we hope he plays, right, and he can be himself, and then that's it. Just be yourself. He doesn't have to go out there and win it by himself. They've got enough talent around him. I mean, Desmond Bane, it was almost a bummer in the Warriors game that a couple shots rim out because he's on an all-time heater right now over the last week or so. He's been playing really well, so you want to get in there with, let him do his thing, and that's what I would be preaching if I'm the coach. Like, you don't need to be anything more than the best version of who you are. Go out there and do your things to the best of your abilities, and we'll let the rest take care of itself, and that should be enough. As long as Ja Morant is able to be himself, get downhill, attack, create opportunities for himself and his teammates, he should be really good. And then I'll add, too, they've got to be physical without fouling because you don't want to be out there just, kind of dropping guys left and right because the Mavericks aren't going to shrink. If you're hitting them, they'll pop back up and they're just going to play. They're going to pop back up, shoot a couple free throws, and get on with it. So you just got to make sure you're playing a good, solid physical game without fouling as best you can.
Keith, I think one of the lamest pregame, halftime, postgame talk radio, one of the lamest takes out there is that team wanted it more. With that said, don't you think tomorrow night comes down a lot to that with Dallas and Memphis? Just who wants it more?
Yeah, I mean, you hope at this point in the year, right, that everybody wants it quite a bit. I mean, we're in the postseason now, so, and I tend to think that they do. I'm with you. I don't do a lot of, in a regular season game. Yeah, sure, teams mail in regular season games, and it's, they just didn't really show up to play tonight. It's, that happens in the occasional playoff game too. But yeah, I think Dallas. I think the guys who are there are a little motivated by the whole, what a bunch of morons they were to trade Luka talk. Myself included, I've said similar things, and I think Anthony Davis and crew are like, hey, we're good, we're good, solid professional players, and I think they'd relish the chance to beat Memphis in Memphis and then go, into Oklahoma City and see if they can do a little damage there, because that would go a long way towards people being like, maybe we're going to think about this trade a little bit differently. Now, I think that'd be very, short-sighted thinking, very in the moment there. But yeah, it is. I think they're very motivated to do that. And I think on the flip side, I think Memphis is. There's a motivation to, if we don't get this done, this could maybe be the point where we start looking around at this core group and saying, all right, it's kind of run its course. It's time to make some major changes.
Yeah. For sure. Keith, enjoy the games. My best to you and yours for this Easter weekend. And enjoy the games. We'll talk about them next week.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me. Enjoy the playoffs.
Thank you. Keith Smith with us every week in a great performance, as always, talking all things NBA. And we finally got the games right for tomorrow night. And tomorrow night at FedEx Forum, I think the pressure will be palpable. This feels like a real fork in the road, inflection, kick point for this franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. And ESPN Plus released an article earlier this morning now that the regular season has officially come and gone, and they've given their reports on grades for teams of the season. So I'm curious, Brett, what grade would you give the Memphis Grizzlies for the regular season and the way they finished?
B.
B? They gave them a C.
I can't argue with it.
And I think, too, the kind of way
I'm a homer.
The way that I kind of thought about it is you kind of had two different seasons with the Memphis Grizzlies. Before the All-Star break, they were going great. I remember co-hosting a few shows with Bryant Dacus, and I was telling him one of the big keys to the Grizzlies' success was not only were the starters performing well, but our bench squad was incredible. They're coming out of the blue, playing incredible. We were deep. Absolutely. And if we did pluses and minuses, I would have given them an A+.
No pluses or minuses.
No pluses or minuses, but that's just how excited.
So ESPN went flat letter too?
They
on everyone?
Not on everyone.
Okay.
They gave plus and minuses.
That's a cop-out.
Yeah, it is. So for every single one of them, I said, okay, so you just technically gave them a C. Because
no grade point average ever has a plus or minus in it.
But absolutely, with the second half of the season and the big drop-off for the Grizzlies, I think it really did average out to about a C.
It did. Happy Easter month to everyone from All-Star Chevrolet and Olive Branch to everybody out there. They want me to really impress how much they appreciate everybody in this area. And Holy Week, Easter month, it's here for us. And they want me to let you know that all the great deals are right down Highway 78, first exit Kraft Goodman Road. After you cross into Mississippi, you're with the good crew at All-Star Chevrolet. Drew DePriest and his entire team right there in Olive Branch at All-Star. Save thousands on your new Silverado truck. Financing as low as 2.9 for 72 months. A new 2500 HD with financing as low as 3.9. No payments for 90 days. That means no payments until the end of summer. How about that? Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. If you're law enforcement, educator, military, recent grad, healthcare worker, first responder, instant extra $500 bonus back. All-Star with all the late model pre-owns you could be looking for, like that Equinox, the Tahoes, Camaros, Suburbans, and a ton of Silverados. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star. Whether you bought it there or not, they'll give you the best deal back for your trade at All-Star. Everyone at All-Star wishes everybody out there a happy Easter coming up this weekend. Together, let's drive to All-Star Chevrolet, and for more information, go to allstarautogroup.com. Not so fast, says Dane Danger himself at the Twitter machine. We'll talk about that. He and Jason Munns, the beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, tweeting out fluid, kind of with 20 L's and 20 U's and I's and D's. Very fluid situation. We talk about that and more when we come back on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or in our house has been a Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair and still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family. This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Building now on all the major outbound routes. I-40 has picked up across the I-40 bridge, headed on over into West Memphis. MPD's out here with a couple of earlier accidents. It's building pretty good now on 240 east from Mill Branch with that traffic volume making your way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Dandelions, nutgrass, crabgrass. Lawn Solution says they can get rid of it, make your yard look so good your neighbors will be jealous. Call Lawn Solutions. Here's the number, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Brian will be back with us tomorrow. Landon Schmidt, Brett Norsworthy with you, and we're with you until 5 o'clock. We're out at 5 today for Ole Miss South Carolina baseball. That 3-game series starting today. Tomorrow afternoon's game, it's at 3. Moved to 3 o'clock for TV. We will not carry that. Brian and I will be here for the full 3 hours tomorrow, and then Game 3 of that series in Columbia Saturday afternoon at 12:30, where the weather is resplendent. Not far from Hilton Head, where they're playing the PGA Tour stop. And Landon, you've just done us a great job. Jumped right in, very comfortable, a lot of fun, very knowledgeable, very credible, great at your job. Your golf picks are too good. They're starting to make me mad.
Well, what can I say? I might have a third eye for golf picks.
Wow. Last weekend you had the first pick. You had Rory. You win double. You have the last pick this week. You take Justin Thomas. He fires a 61 at him at Hilton Head today.
You think he knows that I picked him?
No, he didn't know we exist. No, I can almost guarantee it.
Well, I'm just trying to make connections to see. You know,
putting pressure on him?
Maybe he heard that I picked him. He was like, "Well,
it's really a South Carolina kind of day, isn't it? With the Ole Miss series and New Memphis Tigers, Zach Davis. He did not win the timing award today, did he?
No, he did not.
He's going to help next February with this team, though. Mm-hmm. He will. But now Dane Danger saying not so fast, Lee Corso saying that he still very much wants to consider being here in Memphis. All indications of P.J. Haggerty of this decision to enter the portal is de facto, I'm out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. And with all those movements going around, I have just, as a Titans fan, maybe the most exciting news that we've heard in a while. The Titans have finally decided to release Nicholas Petit-Frere, which is one of our old offensive linemen, and that dude has been responsible for countless pressures, sacks, hurries,
penalties.
You name it. The dude has been a thorn in our side, and if you look over all of the pages, Titans fans are erupting. They are elated that this guy is finally out of here, which gives me a lot of hope in the direction that we're going.
Do we know a number they will assign to Cam Ward when they make him the number 1 pick?
I feel
because jersey sales need to start that night.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of mock-ups for some reason have him wearing number 7. A lot more other mock-ups have him wearing number 1. I'm not sure where number 7 has come from. I would love to see him still repping number 1 with the Titans.
I don't remember a great 7 in Nashville, but Dan Pastorini wore 7 well in Houston.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of recently. If there was anybody.
A long time ago.
Well, the only recent player I know is Malik Willis, and he's sailed on.
He did not
to
wear
greener.
it well.
No. But then he donned number 2 for Green Bay and did a phenomenal job there.
Pretty good.
It must have been just something with Tennessee.
I was very opposed to the Willis pick. I saw him that year at Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Late in the year, they played Ole Miss, and I don't know that Matt Corral totally outperformed him, but was a little better. And that was not a very good Ole Miss defense that Willis was going. I just saw him one time, but I wasn't wild about that pick.
Yeah, I wasn't wild about it either, and then it confused
and then
me
they
even.
threw too much at him.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then it confused me even more the next year picking up Will Levis, and I was confused because
that meant they weren't wild about it. Well, did Levis wear 7?
He wore 8. He's wearing 8 right now, and
he wears 7 at Kentucky.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he did. But Mayo Man is not the answer for the Titans. He had. Granted, the thing that made me happy about him to start is he had a very similar debut to the way Ryan Fitzpatrick did with the Rams. Threw for multiple 100 yards. I believe Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for, about 300 yards, 3 TDs, whereas Will Levis had a 4-touchdown game and I believe 200 yards, something like that. So I think that game where they were wearing the Oilers throwback against the Falcons was going to be, here's Will Levis. Here's our savior. Here's the guy that's going to carry us. But it did not take long.
I love
for us
the
to
throwbacks. That's what they wore here. That one year they were here in Memphis, they were actually the Tennessee Oilers.
Yeah.
That one year here. Did they keep it the next year in Nashville when they played at Vandy, or they already made the move to Titans? But they very much played here with the traditional Houston look.
Yeah, my father actually worked security for the games while he was here.
I love the games that year.
Oh, yeah.
It was really my first entree other than going to preseason NFL games that didn't matter. We had a lot of those here in Memphis, and I'd been to some regular season games. But that was my first real kind of bite at the NFL. I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was good to me and for me that year. I was stringing for a bunch of people and a lot of fun. It made for some long weekends, but I loved it. I didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But ultimately, I think the move to Nashville was the right one.
Yeah, and I've talked about it, and it was right then. One person with the commercial appeal got really mad at me over it, but that year of the 1 year of the Titans here, we did pregame shows out at the stadium. And on opening day against the Raiders, Saturday, August 31st, 1997, Eddie George rushed for over 200 yards that day. Oilers team record, broke Billy Cannon's record that day. I read the headline that morning in the commercial appeal. The sports page said, Memphis's dream, Nashville's team. And all I did was read the headline, and one person with the commercial appeal really was irate. I said, I just reread your headline.
Yeah.
When I got to the press box after doing pregame, he wanted to tell me what a scoundrel I was. I said, all I did was read your headline.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love the fact that you mentioned Eddie George, because I feel like Tennessee is kind of the running back destination for the NFL. I mean, you had Eddie George, you had Chris Johnson to follow him soon after, Derrick Henry. I don't think Tony Pollard's going to be the guy to live up to that.
I don't think you can count on 2K from him.
No, not at all. But according to Cam Ward, that's your top running back in the league right there is Tony Pollard, and I love what we've seen out of Tyjae Spears. I believe he's a good filler. I just don't know. Right now, obviously, there's a lot of gaps in the Titans' offense. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed and need to be addressed, but hopefully Cam Ward can be the first step in the right direction.
Since we're out early, kind of a mix of what's trending and our big number of the day. Hit it. Got it? There you go.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
I'll go first. Mine is 2.5. It's the first time I've ever gone fractional. We had a great producer, Johnny Hill, through the years. He couldn't stand it when Bryant would go point anything, but I'm going to go 2.5 or 2.5. How about that?
There you go.
That's at most betting places. That's the first round quarterbacks over and under 2.5. First round quarterbacks to be taken at 2.5. Would you go over or under?
For
first round next Thursday night, quarterbacks in the first round, 2.5.
I'll take that. I'll take the under.
I'll take the over.
Okay.
Soft drink. We don't want to go heavy wagering here, do we?
We'll do a soft
in the
drink.
vending machine.
Actually, how about this? I'll do the other half of my honey bun.
I don't know that I want that.
Oh, all right. Well, then I'll just keep the honey bun and get you soft drink if you're right.
You notice I did not have a Coca-Cola today.
I did.
You know why? I didn't bring change.
I have change.
All I got is a 50.
Well, I got $1.25.
Well, then I'd owe you.
That's fine. Forget about it.
Debt. I'm going to go over on 2.5. So we know one will be Ward.
Yep.
Shador pretty soon after
Shador,
that.
yeah, pretty early first round.
So then it's got to be Dart, Shuck, Milroe, Will Howard, at least one of them.
I don't think Milroe goes first round.
Well,
but I think Dart might.
And a lot of favorability now to Shuck. And remember, Shuck and Dart played against each other in college in the Texas Bowl in an effort that would make your eyes bleed that Ole Miss had that night.
Yeah.
That was one game.
It was.
Will Howard, quarterback to national champion. I think Dart goes in first round, and that would hit my over.
Yeah.
Your big number?
Yeah, I think so too. Well, my big number is in honor of Lee Corso, who is officially announced that he was going to be leaving. He decided one game to go.
Tears will be shed that day.
Absolutely, absolutely. But nonetheless, I think it is going to be a great day for College Game Day. But my number is 151. It is not limited to this number because Lee Corso has donned headgear for many teams over the years. I believe the number was plus 400, but I'm sticking with 151. Between his top 5 teams, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, Florida, and Oregon, a combined 151 times that he has donned their headgear. Ohio State with the lead at 45, Alabama 38, LSU 25, Florida 22 times, and Oregon 21 times donning that duck head.
And a lot of times those teams play against each other.
They do.
A lot
Absolutely.
of LSU-Bama games in there. I wonder where the last show will be. You look at the schedule for that day, and that's Texas at Ohio State, that I would assume would be moved to nighttime, and that would be back to where donning, one of the.
I think it'd have to be there.
But also that day is Bama at Tallahassee at Florida State, his alma mater, his full college football life making full circle back to Tallahassee.
That's tough, but I feel like it's...
And ESPN controls both of the...
Yeah.
Well, hold it. I don't know. That Ohio State may be in control by Fox of their game, but they still could originate game day from there.
Yeah, but I think where I'm leaning is it started in 1996 with the Ohio State Buckeye donning, which started that tradition. I feel it's only right that it comes to completion. It's got to close with Ohio State as well.
Among the many things I've loved about Lee Corso, and I mentioned he put the smile on our face at 10:59 to start the day. I mean, it really did. It jolted everybody into game mode. He did so much. Did it fun-lovingly. Really was not kind of not bitter at all. Didn't really want to crack on teams. Very positive. Very much like the Dickie V model. Kind of an ambassador for the sport. But wherever he would do game day from, a lot of the game day crew, of course, Kirk Herbstreit through the years having to get somewhere to do a game, and many others on the set, whether it was Pollard or Desmond or whoever else was on it, they were getting out of town. they were getting back to the airport. And, Coach Saban last year famously tweeted out that he was at game day and then was back at Bryant-Denny Stadium that night for the field to be named after him, not Lee Corso. He stayed whatever time the kickoff was, and would be down on the field and stay in line. He would stay in line wherever the ball was. You were scared to death that he would get rolled over by those big behemoths out there, but he stayed and would go to the whole game.
Wow. That's awesome.
And
That's
flew
amazing.
out on Sunday morning back home.
And I think that 100% speaks to the character that you saw from Lee Corso on.
He loved the game
on the field or on TV. Yeah, absolutely, he did love the game. And I think my favorites of him is when he would pander to the home crowd and then throw the headset away and then choose the other one. Not so fast. His classic phrase, "Not so fast," my friend. Absolute legend. He's definitely
he made it
definitely.
So fun.
Oh, he did.
There will be a lot of tears that day.
There will be.
Probably some of mine shed as well.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this Thursday afternoon. We'll do it with Crunch Time.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 12,000 miles per year, $49.99 to its signing. Must finance through KFA. Pay for SEO 873.49, MSRP 25,320. Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30,660. Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax title license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/2/25. Hey, I got my buddy on the line. Hey, Jeff Allen, it's always awesome to see what's going on over there at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. What you got up your sleeve?
I'm making magic, Randy. I've got a new ride under $6 a day. 2025 Kia K4 LXS, $159 a month. 2025 Kia Sportage EX, $269 per month. And get more power, larger cargo area than a Nissan Pathfinder in a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
We're online at KiaMountMoriah.com.
Efficiency planting solution. The Case IH 2150 early riser planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a run-and-row unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 early riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH equipment headquarters.
It is too. I am not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that April is just one of the great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
I didn't say there weren't other great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue locations.
And there are a lot of them, and they all have outdoor seating.
I don't think you had to interrupt me for that. What I'm saying is April is particularly great because it's the first month where we can sit outside in Memphis.
And South Haven?
Stop interrupting me. I was going to say South Haven.
No, you weren't. You always forget about South Haven.
I resent that.
Hey, I produce these. You want me to back the tape up?
No. It's still the best month to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 for you, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-size courts, 3 high school-size courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis. Sportstime on Sports
pretty cool, and we're just getting started. So.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
What I learned today, Landon, is the Tigers were rocked today. I said don't panic at 3 o'clock, but now with all indications, P.J. Haggerty looks like he is gone. It's not just kicking the tires, but not so fast on Dane Danger, so maybe some good news there, but he still has to get that waiver that I'm not very favorable about, but this was a tough day for the Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. What I learned today is actually what I started the show off with, Francisco Lindor announcing he's going to be the team captain for Puerto Rico, but also just recently what I learned, and that I'm still elated about, is the Titans releasing Nicholas Petit-Ferrer.
Celebration time for you, huh?
Celebration time. I mean, we're weeding out a bad offensive lineman. We've got all these other deals that we've signed. We're actually stacking up and having a pretty good welcoming party for Cam Ward.
What is it you could have done without?
What I could have done without today. Aaron Rodgers once again joined the Pat McAfee show and was just talking.
That's his official news channel, isn't it?
I think it is. It's his coming out party to say this is what all I've discovered.
Another thing about Lee Corso's retirement. More McAfee on game day.
Well, for some
hard pass.
So for you, hard pass. For me, I won't mind it. I think Pat McAfee's
many love it.
Yeah, many do, and I think he definitely targets the younger generation as well.
Of which I'm not among.
Well, I wasn't gonna point that out, but you went ahead and said it. But Aaron Rodgers was on there today, and he basically released the full story of what happened with the Jets and how they basically, very much so. But I was also reading the comments on a lot of things, and he was making a complaint about how they did that face-to-face when they could have made a phone call, but a lot of people were saying, well, if it was inversed and they did the phone call, that he would say, well, y'all just didn't have the guts to tell me in person. But anyways,
there's no good way.
There really isn't a good way. But the biggest thing I could have done without is that Aaron Rodgers is still undecided on where he's going to play, saying that it's not about the money. He's not attached to anything, and that he'll play for $10 million, while also saying it's not about the money. If it's not about the money, you don't throw.
It's always about the money.
It really is. But that he's not attached to anything, and I'm just confused at where did the game go from to where we're waiting on his word to decide where he wants to play, rather than just going out and.
When will Steelers get enough of it?
I know. When is the deadline going to come? What is it you could have done without?
I could have done without those home team efforts last night in Chicago and Sacramento. It wasn't much to that. They were down quickly, not a lot of fight. Crowds pretty disengaged. That kind of performance and deficit late tomorrow night in Memphis, should it happen, it could cause heavy booing. We have not been a heavy booing market city. I kind of like that. But tomorrow night, if you had an effort like Sacramento or Chicago had last night, that could incite the booing, and I don't blame people. Mm-hmm. People are plenty frustrated. Where are you beaming to tonight?
Beam me straight to Citi Field, the kickoff of the Mets versus the Cardinals.
That's gonna be, huh?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's on my bucket.
You got any wager on that? How about another Coca-Cola in the series?
All right.
Okay.
I like it. It would be maybe one Coke going your direction, because I believe we will have 3 QBs drafted. But with Juan Soto hitting home runs in back-to-back games, I think he's finally starting to.
Warmer.
He is starting to get a little bit into the groove. And you've still got top performers like Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor bringing the game.
They say that ballpark is stunning there. The entryway.
It's really a bucket list item for me.
I've never been to either there.
Oh.
I've never been to City or to Yankee.
Well, sounds like we need to schedule a vacation or something going up there. Where are you beaming?
Same place. We'll do that tonight.
All
Citi
right.
Field for Cardinals in Gotham against the Metropolitans, as Mike Shannon would always say. The hated rivalry of the 80s long gone. Cardinals all-time 410 wins to 369 losses all-time against the Mets. This year they'll play this series, this 4-gamer, and then 3 at Busch Stadium in May. That's it.
Well, there you go. maybe trying to reinvigorate some of that passion from the 80s, huh?
We'll watch a lot tonight from baseball. It's kind of the baseball night. Cleveland at Baltimore, and the Yankees on the road in Tampa against the Rays, and only the Yankees could pull this off, playing at George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, at their AAA ballpark in Tampa, where the Rays are having to decamp this year. Another embarrassment of ever putting a team there. It was to pay the collusion bill. It was a hackneyed response from a hackneyed commissioner, Bud Selig. But Bud Selig looks like Kennesaw Mountain Landis compared to the one we have now. Also tonight, we will be watching Anaheim at Texas. And tomorrow night, all NBA. This is the last night of no NBA for a while.
Wow.
We'll have a bunch of playoff games and a good stretch of games that includes tomorrow night at FedEx Forum. We'll talk a lot about that tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a very, very exciting time with the NBA playoffs rolling. A lot of baseball left there. A lot of baseball
We've
left.
got Ole Miss baseball here tonight.
Yes, we
coming
do.
up in just a little bit. In a few minutes, we'll have Ole Miss and South Carolina pregame. David Kellum and Brad Henderson on the road for that one. Then first pitch at 5:30. The game tomorrow is at 3, so we will be here for Sports Time tomorrow. And then the last game of that series will be Saturday at 12:30 with the pregame. All the action you can hear right here. Bryant will be back with us tomorrow. For Landon, I'm Brett. Everybody have a great Maundy Thursday. If you're going out to services, we'll talk to you tomorrow on Good Friday.